Thanks, Craig, and good morning, everyone. I suspect everybody's now looking at who else is here because we haven't seen each other, of course, in a long while, and I hope you're all feeling well and looking forward to a good day. So Craig and the team have put together a brilliant day today. They've worked really hard on this. My thanks to all them and my colleagues at Sport England, of course, and all those speaking today for putting this great event together. I am just going to take a few minutes of your time, if you don't mind, to talk about three things. Firstly, what we're doing here with the Sports Governance Academy and why, which is always a good place to start. Secondly, I've got some thoughts on the external environment, what's going on in the outside world, and therefore the context for this work. And thirdly, I want to give you a reflection on where good governance fits in Sport England's new 10-year strategy called Uniting the Movement. So let's start with the SGA and our partnership with the Chartered Governance Institute to set it up. We've created it as part of Sport England's commitment to support the sector to improving its governance. It sits alongside the Code for Sports Governance that you will know of, and this is the practical support side. It aims to provide learning and development, as you've heard from Craig. We're trying to make the topic more understandable, more accessible. I have certainly had to learn about the benefits of good governance. And unfortunately, in my time at Sport England, I've usually learned that by seeing when governance goes wrong and then having to pick up the pieces. So we're trying to make it more understandable and accessible. We're also, including today, trying to connect people across the sector. It's a network opportunity, a shared experience, and we need a few of those right now. It's a safe space for people to share the challenges, to help each other, and access loads of information and education to help you drive your governance forward. So that brings me to who this is for. Well, the focus for us is obviously on organisations that are funded by Sport England and UK Sport, our partners, but we are committed to supporting the sector more widely. It's not just for those people fortunate enough to receive investment from us. So this is a chance for me to welcome those who are not in that gang so far, those from not funded partners. Thank you for joining today. Thanks for joining the community. For the SGA to be successful at all, it's got to be led by our industry. So we do have an advisory group with SIMSPA, our Chartered Institute, as our strategic partner. We've got a group for that purpose, but we please encourage everyone here today to get involved, engage with it, do feedback, get on the website and help us collectively make our industry better. Ultimately, the SGA needs to be the go-to hub for governance support for the sport and physical activity sector. We want to build a longer-term partnership with the Chartered Governance Institute, and I am in discussions with them already to keep the SGA going well past this event and, of course, well past this year into the new strategy. So, my second point, if you don't mind, about the external environment. Obviously, the SGA was established over a year ago in a very different world. And like many organisations, it's had to adapt to what it offers and how to meet the changing needs of our sector, our governance professionals, and of course, how we now have been working. The government's prioritisation of the return of sport and activity has been really welcome. I don't think we should take that for granted. It's been a recognition of how important sport and activity is to the nation's physical and mental health, not least in the last 12 months. But of course, it's been challenging for everyone. So that's why the themes for today's conference are three simple words, but interesting concepts: diversity, resilience, and growth. It's a pretty good summary of where I think we find ourselves in the industry right now. So let's just pause on each of those themes and think about what we mean. Theme one is diversity. Not a new concept to our industry, but the events of the past year, several events in the past year, have highlighted the need for us to improve. We've got to do better, and we've got to focus our intention on more than just warm words. The pandemic has disproportionately affected underrepresented groups. Our new strategy, Uniting the Movement, seeks to go further than we ever have before to tackle those stubborn inequalities. There are reasons that people are prevented from taking part, and we've got to address them. How the boards of our partners reflect the diversity of society and, of course, their membership will be a key part of this, and that is why you're going to hear more from our friends at Perrott Labour shortly. We've already, with that partnership, driven 37 appointments to boards in sport so far. We are about to sign the deal to renew the partnership, I'm delighted to say, and you'll hear more from Lucy Simpson of Perrott Labour on that shortly. Theme number 2 is resilience. Over the past 12 months, we've frankly had to work hard to just keep our industry alive. Some of it, sadly, will not survive. But we should acknowledge the impact that the pandemic's had on boards, the frequency that those boards have had to meet, the speed of the decisions that they've had to take, the difficulty sometimes of making decisions without much information or, of course, no practice run for what we've all been facing. There's been a lot of personnel change, a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, and including by the fact that many people have not been able to do their very favourite activity or sport, and that's made for a challenging environment for boards and those running the organisations. It's really highlighted, if we didn't know this already, the importance of member and stakeholder engagement. You've got to keep talking and listening to the people in your world. So theme 3 today is growth. We've all had to find new ways of doing things in the last year, and we'll continue to have to do that, no doubt. The SGA has developed an online networking platform, a forum to take the place of in-person networking events, sadly for those of us who like going to a good event, but it's transitioned all of its training to a virtual platform, and you've got everything there you could have possibly had, minus the face-to-face contact, of course. There is some value in virtual board meetings. We've all had to get used to this. And while I suspect many of us would prefer to be in the same room, we do have to pause. We do have to learn from what we've done in the last year. And we need to embrace some of the things we've learned about ourselves, including leadership and governance in the last year. We're not going back to what it was like before. We're not going to go back without at least pausing and reflecting on what's different, what's refreshing. And let's be honest, some of it's quite positive, and we should reflect on that. So finally, that brings me to uniting the movement. It would be remiss for me to not take the opportunity to talk about Sport England's new strategy. Published in January, a 10-year vision, which is ambitious in itself, to transform lives and communities through sport and activity. The immediate focus, as you'd expect, is to recover from the huge pressure brought about by COVID and the pandemic. But also, we are going to get through this. We are identifying the longer term challenges of the next decade. Notably, as I've mentioned, those long-standing inequalities. They've existed for a long time, they've been reinforced by the last year, and we've got to get stuck into it. Uniting the movement seeks to go further than ever before, I think, to make sure not only can we drive up activity levels, but we can tackle those inequalities. Uniting the movement's built around 5 key themes, which we think are the biggest 5 issues, not the only ones, but the biggest 5 issues facing the sport and activity industry in the next decade. Let's see if you agree. The big 5 things. Number 1, recover and reinvent. Helping to recover from the effects of the pandemic and reinventing ourselves as a sustainable network of organisations that provide opportunities for everyone. Hopefully that makes sense. Number 2, connecting communities. How do we focus on sport and activity's role as part of the fabric of the nation, beyond what it can do for individuals? Sport's ability to make our communities better places to live and bring people together. Number 3, positive experiences for children and young people, an unrelenting focus on putting enjoyment at the heart of the experiences of children, not what adults want, but what kids want. Enjoyment, recognising that if kids enjoy sport and activity, it can be the foundation for a long and healthy life. Number 4, connecting with health and well-being, strengthening what we've been doing for the last couple of years, those connections between sport and health and well-being so more people can feel the benefits of an active life. And number 5, active environments. Maximising many of the lessons that the pandemic's brought us about those places and spaces that make it easier for us to move, to play sport, to travel in our local areas. Those are the 5 big issues we think we have to rise to in the next decade. Now, good governance. Where is that, you might ask? Well, we think good governance is one of the catalysts for change. That is what we're calling it in Uniting the Movement. And I think good governance sits right through all of those 5 big challenges. I don't think we can rise to them without it. We are going to be ambitious. We're going to set high standards, high expectations. That's where the Code for Sport Governance comes in. You'll hear more about that later. But we also realise our role is not just to mark people's homework. We're not just setting standards. We are going to collaborate with you, our partners, as you try and not only reach, but surpass those standards. We set a high bar for ourselves in the knowledge that we can get over it. You'll have seen on the agenda for today that the code is one of our intentions, the new code, part 2. I think it's been one of the great leaps forward. I think when I retire from sport, which might be some while away, it will be one of the proudest achievements I've been involved in. A huge team of people working really hard to put a great code together, and you'll hear more about it today. The revised version is an opportunity to be even better, to stay on top of new challenges, new information. We've got to keep moving. We can't stand still. But alongside the new code, we are putting in place loads of support, lots of tools to help you achieve the standards that it sets and the standards that I know you'll set for yourself. So the SGA as an entity and the event today is a part of that support, and it will continue throughout the year ahead. So that's it from me. Thanks for your attention. This is your day, so please enjoy it. Challenge yourself to network with others. Try and switch off your other distractions if you can and make the most of it. It is an opportunity to step out of that day-to-day work and immerse yourself in something that's really important for the future of our industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. I know you're extremely busy and you have other appointments to rush off to, so thank you so much for making some time available for us today. And good luck with everything, and thank you. And so, as Phil was saying, please, maybe not right now, but certainly quite soon, feel free to head on over to the SGA website and take a look at some of the resources that we've got there. And as Phil mentioned, we're now just going to run straight into the program. We've got a lot lined up for today, so I won't sort of spend too much time gabbing away. I would rather let you listen to the people that you really hear speak.